AIDS, or are you not afraid of AIDS?
Sure am afraid of AIDS. I think, it's just ain't a disease,
Yeah.
to mess around with. Somebody give me a disease, I'm gonna kill them.
You don't know who have AIDS. Everybody could have AIDS. You may have AIDS. You never find out till about 5 years from now.
And I'll probably be married before, I plan on having sex. So, therefore, I'm not too worried about it, and I don't feel that you can just catch it just by talking with someone.
I've never had disease. Any disease just scares me to death. That just attracts me away from guys altogether.
I want to read you 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse number 18. It says, "Flee fornication, or sex outside of marriage. Every sin that a man doeth is without the body, but he that committeth fornication sinneth against his own body." The Bible says that sexual sin is a sin that actually works physically against your body. And if you have multiple sex partners, or you sleep with someone that does, then you are opening up your body to sexually transmitted diseases, or STDs. And the effects can range from bothersome to fatal. And if you sleep around enough, you're very likely to get something. Did you know that there are currently 33,000 people every day in this country that are infected with STDs? You've probably heard the names: herpes, VD, syphilis, and these things can cause anything from brain damage to paralysis. Probably the most well-known disease, however, is the acquired immune deficiency syndrome, also known as AIDS. AIDS has already affected over 1 million people in this country, and that number is doubling every single year. You say, Blaine, how bad is it? I mean, is AIDS really that bad? Let me put it this way. If you can imagine a full jumbo jet, 747, full of people crashing every day through the year 1995, then you can begin to grasp the possibility of the AIDS epidemic to come.
A person who is exposed to AIDS and gets AIDS has a death sentence hanging over their head.
The age range 15 to 24 accounts for 75% of the sexually transmitted diseases that are reported annually in this country.
Another woman came to me. She said, "I'm 26 years old. I've been married for 4 years. January 2nd, they told my husband he had AIDS. Never been sick a day in his life. 12 days later, January 14th, he died." She said, "Mr. McDowell, they traced it back to an affair he had with a woman 6 years ago, 2 years before they ever got married." She said, "Do you know what I have to do? Every 3 months for the next couple of years, I've got to go into a sexually transmitted disease clinic to be tested to see if I have AIDS, to see if I'm going to live another 4 months."
You've had AIDS now for a couple of years. How has it affected your body so far?
Well, I don't have the energy I used to. I have CMV retinitis, and I'm going blind. My right eye is already blind. And I have MAI, which is a Microbacterium avium intracellular.
The deadliest consequence of premarital sex is without a doubt the 1,100,000 teenage girls that become pregnant every year. You say, why is that deadly? Because 400,000 of them have abortions, and that's up 100% from 1972. It doesn't matter how many precautions you may take. Pregnancy is always a possibility, and all too often it takes a young girl by surprise, and the sin of murder is added to the sin of fornication, snuffing out an innocent life.
I feel abortion is just like murder. I don't think abortion is right.
I think that a child deserves to live no matter, how was it conceived,
I think that if they want to do that, then they should be able to do it. I mean, it's their life.
I don't know. The only thing I would do is I'd try to get abortion for her, because that's the only course I could see.
My best friend called me on the phone and said, "Did you hear about the pill that they invented over in France that you take and causes you to have an abortion?" And she said, "Have you thought about that?" And I said, "Dee Dee, you're my best friend. How could you tell me such a thing,
I started crying at the end of the procedure because my stomach just ached. It felt like somebody was pinching inside me. And I just wanted to roll up in a little ball, but I couldn't. I had to keep my feet all in the stirrups and everything. And I was in so much pain, I started crying because I think I finally realized what I had done. And I remember thinking, it's down there on that floor and I want it back.
I think that life begins when the two eggs meet, they collide, and they begin to develop into their first multiplication of life. If one cell divides into two cells, that's live. Rocks don't do that.
Proverbs chapter 5 talks about the immoral woman. We're going to begin reading in verse number 3. It says, "For the lips of a strange woman drop as honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil. But her end is as bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword." One of the most unbearable consequences of irresponsible sex is the feelings that you have just moments after it's all over. What was supposed to feel so great now feels so terrible. Feelings of guilt because you violated God's laws and maybe your own conscience, maybe even someone else's conscience. Feelings of low self-esteem, realizing for the first time maybe that you've been used, that you've been violated, taken advantage of. Maybe feelings of fear that you've lost a relationship that might have taken years to build. I'm convinced that the incredibly high teen suicide rate in this country is largely a result of these lingering, nagging feelings.
Well, in all the relationships I've been, I mean, it's nice at first, but they don't last very long, and it's just, I'm just tired of, you know, all the pain and misery and stuff that goes along with it. It's just, it's a dead-end street.
Girls, you start dating a guy, and you become sexually involved, and then you break up. Girls, you can send back his class ring. You can send back his picture cut in 1,000 pieces. You can send back his class sweater a la Ollie North, shredded. Girls, you can take all the love notes he wrote you, all the mementos, stack them up in the driveway if he wrote enough of them, and burn them all. But girls, Jonah, you cannot send back the memories.